Welcome to the Educational Blogs Analysis and Critique. The first blog that we're going to look at is the magic that happens when we teach kids to code. Driscoll was a teacher that wanted to see his students engage more in his classroom, so he decided to try to code. He wasn't familiar with coding, so he started simply. I was amazed that kids this young could code, so I have done some research on young children's ability to code, which will be more on slide 4. Driscoll was amazed that every one of his kids could code, no matter the differences they had, whether they were special education, English as second language, or even kids that were either very high or low functioning in their class. No matter what, they were able to code. It brought his class together, and it gave students a voice that usually had no voice. There were kids that would engage that normally wouldn't engage in class. The class started simply together and then moved along to harder and more complex tasks. First, they started with read aloud books. Then they talked about coding until they understood it. Then they coded with a device with no screen. And then they coded with devices that used planning and sequencing. And finally, they block coded. I was interested in finding out how young kids could be when they started to code, so I went on a search, some research, and found geekedu.org, which states that kids can learn as young as 5, but ideally around 6 or 7 years old, which would put them right about the class, the first grade class that had learned together. Some research has shown that kids who learn to code in elementary will have better academic success later in school. I'm assuming that they're going to also be more technologically advanced so that they will be ready to do more complex things as they get into middle school and high school. Benefits of teaching kids to code: greater problem solving skills. They get greater creativity. This I thought was very important. They need to accept failure as part of the learning process so they can have fun learning to debug the code. So basically learning how to find out what is wrong. They're going to be able to see it more as a game than as failing and not doing as well. There's a growing demand for coding. The second blog that we're going to look at is Digital Citizenship in Education, what it is and why it matters. This first slide is what is it? Digital citizenship is digital literacy and digital ethics. It's responsible and kind behavior, so are they being responsible and kind and not bullying? Online responsibility. Online safety, are they making sure that the information that they're putting out there is not going to get to a predator? Safe and healthy habits, making sure that they have margin, that they are not on screens constantly, and understanding how that is healthy for their body and their well-being mentally. And again, it's the why would be, or what would be, digital literacy. It's being able to know how to navigate the tools online. The next slide would be with the why. Why does it matter to be a digital citizen in education, especially? Why are we teaching the kids this information? Firstly, we need to keep them safe. For them to know how to navigate online and what's safe and what is not safe will help them all the way through their life. Helps them build integrity. It helps with participation, and it helps with future readiness. They're going to be ready to be employed with jobs that are going to be much more complex technically than the jobs that we have had, and they need to know the information and how to navigate it. I found this site about how young kids should be taught to become a digital citizen from South Africa. It's socialkids.co.za, and they had some really interesting points. They contend that kids should learn digital citizenship when they learn their ABCs and phonics. There's a quote here from Crawler, who wrote the article. If kids can understand audible instructions or read, they are vulnerable online. So if they are vulnerable online right then, that's when they need to start learning about digital citizenships. There's also many disadvantages of technology, so kids need to be prepared to understand those so that they can also, going back to our last site, they can keep themselves safe mentally and physically online. The third blog that I'm looking at is a blog by Lisa Nielsen. The Innovative Educator. It's from 2024. It's a shift towards cell phone bans in schools and navigating that landscape. Banning cell phones is starting to really gain traction in school districts. Since we use and teach technology in school, banning cell phones is a little bit difficult, but it can be helped by the devices that the school gives. Here at the school district where my son goes, they all get a laptop, and they can do all of their work from elementary through high school on that laptop. And it also allows the school to have control over some of the digital content. Even though they're learned and being given this control, students will still need to be taught digital responsibilities, so they still need to have understanding of digital citizenship. I found this article written by Dan Florell from December 2024, and it's about pondering the impact of cell phone bans. Will psychologists see changes in students? There might be some negative effects once you take the cell phones away. Students may feel anxiety, they may feel cut off from their social support, and they may feel depression. But some of the side effects that they have found is that taking cell phones during class time can boost academic performance, especially with kids that were struggling. They had a higher bump up in their academic performance when the phone's taken away. They're less distracted, and long term they have better mental health, less depression and anxiety, and more face-to-face interaction with their peers. Since this is an analysis and critique, I wanted to summarize the 3 different blogs that I looked at. All 3 were very helpful, and all 3 came at technology and education, technological education from a different point. Teaching kids to code had kids needing to learn really young to code, being on technology young. Banning the school cell phones was getting the kids off during a certain amount of time and having them not be on their cell phones and not be on technology. And so I feel like the digital citizenship kind of ties both of them together. Whether the kids are learning technology at a young age or they're not having technology at certain points, it's really important on either side that they become digital citizens, that they can know how and when to interact, and when it's going to be appropriate for their own mental health and when it's going to be appropriate for friendships. And so I feel like on both sides, whether we're teaching the kids to code at a young age or we're banning cell phones, we need to make sure that the kids know the consequences that they have for all of their online behaviors, and support them. They're young, aren't ready to make all of these decisions yet. So giving them the information and then supporting them and their parents during this journey is going to be helping us have lifelong digital citizens that are responsible. My references are the final part of this presentation. I have 3 reference pages. And I hope you've enjoyed our journey through educational blogs, the analysis and critique. Have a great day.